Hello again, everyone. This is Tim from V7 Software Development, and welcome to Service Advisor tutorial number 4, Options and Preferences. Before we get started with the Preferences screen, I'd like to show you a couple things here on the main screen. If you'll notice here on the left-hand side, we have panels over here with the calendar, to-do list, and various options. Now these panels are adjustable horizontally and vertically. To do that, we'll just hover our mouse right over the line here, and we can drag it, open it up as far as we'd like to display more of the calendars. As well, we can do it on the horizontal bar also and move this panel down. We can bring it all the way down till the to-do list disappears. Now if you'd like to collapse this all together, go right up here to the left arrows, click, it'll collapse. You still have all your menu buttons right here. To open it back up to default position, click the right hand arrows, and there we go. Now if you do change this while working in the program, it will save this position for that user who is logged in the next time that user logs in. So let's just put it back to default, and we're ready to go to Preferences. Now you can access the Preferences screen one of two different ways. There's a Preferences button right down here on the left-hand side, or you can go to the options up above and click Preferences. We're going to come down here and click Preferences. Now you will see 6 tabs at the top on the Preferences screen: Company, Schedule, Credit, Color Scheme, Users, and Database. Beginning with the Company tab, first item you're going to see is company name, address, city, state, zip, phone, fax, email, and website. Pretty self-explanatory. This information will appear on your agreements, your proposals, service orders, etc. throughout the program. Now moving on down to optional information, we have places for your contractor license numbers, number 1 and number 2. Now if you have more than 2 license numbers you'd like to enter, just separate them with a comma. Put them together in the same box. Moving on down to the company slogan. This is optional also. You can leave this blank. You can put whatever you want in there. It again will appear at the top of proposals and in various printouts, reports, and places throughout the program. And over here we have a disclaimer field that will appear on various service orders, proposals, and agreements throughout the program as well. Now you can leave this blank, or you can put your special text in there. After making changes, just hit Save and hit Close. Moving on to the Schedule tab. This is where you activate the internal schedule as well as Outlook. Now the default settings are enabled. It will come enabled for Outlook compatibility as well as the built-in schedule. And you have the option to run the schedule on startup and close it on exit. If you don't run it on startup, that's fine. It will just prompt you when you enter an item on the calendar. It will prompt you to start the schedule, and it will run in the background from there on. Now when you send an item to the schedule, such as a service call or a proposal, those are all color-coded on the schedule, which is very handy. And right here in categories is where we set the color coding. So for instance, if we send a service call to the schedule, it's going to be in this blue color. If we send an installation, it's going to be in this color, and so forth. Now over here we can change the back color to whatever we like. And font color, again, to whatever we like. So we'll just put that back to default. Save and close. Now moving on to the Credit tab. This is your credit status list of items. And you will see this list when you create a customer and assign them a credit status. Now that list is editable. You can add, edit, delete as you wish, and you can add as many as you like. You can browse through them. And you can add and delete. Very simple. Next we have color scheme. Now the color scheme, you have many options here to get the program to your visual liking. It comes default with a visual style of Office number 1. Now we can change that, and we can see the changes over here in the main program as we do it. Office number 2. One called Visual Studio. And a standard black and white theme. We're going to go back to Office number 1 and we're going to look at the color schemes. Now any of these color schemes can be applied to any of these visual styles. Multicolor, all blue, that is the default one. Green, gray, turquoise, plum, brown and gray, sienna, beige. So you can see you have a lot of options here. We're going to put this back to all blue, back to the default position. Now you can also change the text background color. This is the background color of the text when a box is highlighted, such as here and such as here in the grid. Let's click yellow. And you can see our background highlighting changed to yellow, and it will over here also and throughout the program. So we would just put that back to system default. Or you can click restore defaults right here. Remember to click save before you close, or your changes will not be saved. Let's move on to the Users tab. The Users tab is where we assign passwords, privileges, administrative privileges, etc. to the program. Now by default it comes with no passwords and no permissions assigned. The program is just open for anyone to use. Now we have two ways we can assign a password. One is here on the left with global password. So we'll select global password. Now what this does, it allows you to enter a password that anyone coming to use the program will enter, and it will allow them in the program. Now it will allow them in the program and give them the privileges that you select here. Main program access, that allows them in. You want to give them employee records access. You want to give them access to this screen here, preferences and network setup, reports, charts, and time clock. So we would assign global password right here. Click save. And you get a little message that says any changes to passwords will take effect the next time the program is started. Click OK. So now anyone that opens the program will have to put this password in order to gain access. Now alternatively, we have individual user permissions. Now we can use one or the other, not both. We have to select one or the other. So we're going to deselect global password and we're going to enable individual user permissions right here. Now what this does, it allows you to issue user IDs and passwords to each individual in your company, and each individual will have their own level of access. For instance, you have a dispatcher or an office manager that needs access to everything. You would assign her ID and her password, and give her full permission to all areas. Now let's say you have a salesman and you just want to give him access to certain areas of the program. Assign his user ID, his password, and give him main program access. He does not need access to employee records or preferences. Now, being a salesman, he probably would need access to reports and charts, as well as a time clock, if he's on a time clock basis. Now, he probably won't need that since he's working on commission, so we'll leave that off. Now, I'd like you to notice this paragraph right down here. It says, warning, be sure to designate full access to at least one user. This person will be administrator and will have access in case other users forget their password. So you want to make sure that there is at least one person with full access to the full program. In other words, the administrator, perhaps the owner of the company or the general manager, but that should be the first one you create. Next, we have the View Log button right here. And what this will do, will show you a log of all users and all of their activity. And by activity, I mean logging in, logging out, the actual computer that they use to log in and out on, a system-generated session ID, as well as their user ID and password. Now down here below, you can navigate through the records. We don't have any in here right now, but you can navigate with the standard navigation bar. You can clear the log if you wish. You can print the log. And you can set the maximum number of log entries to keep. Now you can set this as high as 20 or 30,000 if you'd like. I don't recommend that. That number of records tends to bog down a computer system and make it run a little slow, so I would try keep it under a couple thousand. Anyway, as usual, when you're done here, you can return to users. Make sure you click save after you've made any changes or additions. And we're getting this little message here that says you have enabled user permissions, but you have not created any users in the grid. Please create one or more users or else disable user permissions. So since we don't have any users in here, we're going to disable it. To do that, we're going to click Do Not Use Passwords or Permissions. Moving on to the Database tab. This is a database maintenance screen. You can do some cleanup over here. The first box we'll see is blank and duplicate records. This function will find any blank records in the customer database and deal with them as you choose. We'll get to that later. And it will also find duplicate records and deal with them. So we're going to search for duplicates. That is ticked already. And we're going to search for blanks. And when we find them, what should we do? Should we delete them and show a report? Should we delete them and do not show a report? Should we show a report only and do not delete them? Very simple. We'll click Start Now, and it'll give you a little warning that you're about to delete all duplicate records. Go ahead and click Yes. Total records scanned 3. Blank records deleted 0. Duplicate records deleted 0. It'll give you a little pop-up report there. Now moving on, the next box is Compact Database. This is something your administrator may want to do occasionally. We recommend you do it manually when, especially if you're on a network. So do it manually when network usage is at a low time, when there are not many users on the system is recommended. However, you can set this to compact on each shutdown of the program, and that would be on the server. As I said, we do not recommend that. It does not need to be compacted every time you shut down the program, so we'll just leave this checked as it is, and you can compact right here manually, and we'll do that. Current size of database is 0.86 megabyte. Continue with compact? Yes. Database is already at its smallest possible size. No compact was necessary. Now let's move on to the time card archive. If you're using the built-in time clock, the system will keep all time cards that you have created. Now, periodically you may want to delete some of the older archives in your time card file, and this is where you do that. You can select a date range. Let's say a date range between 2/19 and 6/7. Now that is a date range of the week ending date. So all time cards that have a week ending date that fall between the 19th and the 7th of June will be deleted. Click delete, and it'll give us a message, cannot delete, there are no records in the archive, because we do not have any time cards yet. So we will click that, and that is it for the preferences screen. Click close, brings us back to our main customer screen. So thanks guys, this has been Tim from V7 Software Development. We'll see you next time.